Do older Americans have more income than we've been led to believe? This is probably one of the most important research papers that have come down the pike for financial planners in a long, long time. I did 6 months ago. I read from the Social Security Administration, and I'll share with you here again. And I'm going to keep repeating this every 6 months or so ago because it's so critical in your own financial planning. Everything. It's insane. It's insane how insane this paper is. It's literally insane how insane it is. This is probably one of the most important papers since Ty Bernicki, who wrote in the Journal for Financial Planning in 2005, The Reality Retirement Spending using BLS numbers, since Larry Kotlikoff and Scott Burns, their spend till the end, their consumption smoothing. This is probably one of the top three for sure. And the fact that the Census Bureau allowed it to be published to take on the Census Bureau information, I just find it to be I question the government, and this is one case I'm like, hey, pat on the back, man. In this case, they're looking out for us for sure, which is rare, I think. But anyway, let's dive into this. This is 2017 July from Adam B., U.S. Census Bureau, and Joshua Mitchell, U.S. Census Bureau. Do older Americans have more income than we think? And we're going to talk about this. Let me scroll down to the thing I want to show you. Hold on just a second. So we're going to share with you the question of the Census Bureau when they're investigating retirement income for folks. And this is going to start all from here. Now, I would like for you to answer this as you would think it applies to you. All right, you ready? So here's the question. During 2012 or 2018, it doesn't matter the year, just remember this. During 2018, did you or anyone in your household receive any pension or retirement income from a previous employer or union or any other type of retirement income other than Social Security or VA benefits? All right. Did you, anyone in this household, receive any pension or retirement income from a previous employer or union or any other type of retirement income other than your Social Security or VA benefits? And what these guys say of particular interest are the CPS, the Current Population Survey, ASEC, I forgot off the top of my head what that is, but we'll send here, questions related to retirement income. There are several points during the interview where respondents might report such income. The main CPS question is the Current Population Survey for the Census Bureau. We just asked that question. If the respondent indicates someone in the household received such income, follow-up questions ask who in the household received the income, the amounts received, and the particular sources of this income. There are also parallel questions for disability and survivor income, also apart from VA benefits and Social Security, which are included in our definition of retirement income. We also choose to include VA pension, survivor, and disability payment asked earlier in the interview because we have reason to believe some respondents may misclassify their military pension as VA benefits. That's just the beginning. Don't hang up on me yet here because it gets more to this than that. But again, if I got VA benefits, I'm thinking it's my pension income. That's not what they're talking about. Lastly, the Current Population Survey asks a final question about any other income not already mentioned. If the respondents indicate that they have other income either from pensions or annuities, we include this in our measure of retirement income. So a couple things going on here, my friends. Did you or any other person receive a pension or retirement income from a previous employer or union? What does that make you think? That makes you think of a employer-sponsored defined benefit plan, a pension, right? Or any other type of income, or any other type of retirement income other than Social Security or VA benefits. That does not lead you to think IRA distributions, does it? Certainly doesn't make you believe Roth. It does not. In fact, what they even say is they're saying do not include any other other than Social Security or VA benefits because they're assuming that VA benefits are, you and I are going to assume that means our pension because it's a VA Veterans Administration benefit, is it not? Might be DOD. I don't know, but if I'm receiving a military pension, I'm saying, okay, I guess I don't include my $45,000 pension from the military because it says don't include your VA benefits. But even more, for the vast majority of the population, they're sitting there thinking, and I've seen this. I said, I remember going through this survey myself. I said, because I was doing my first research to start my first book. I said, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't say anything about IRA distributions. It says nothing. Never mind about Roth. Well, my first book actually became my second book, The Tax Bomb in Your Retirement Accounts. Right here. So I was researching this. This is the first book I started researching. I actually published my other one before that. But anyway, I was looking at the Census Bureau stuff. I said, it doesn't say anything about IRA distributions or Roth IRA. It doesn't say anything about it. I said, that's weird. But so let's keep going on. So we're going to go to the top now because this is critical, man. Do older Americans have more income than we think? And here it is, Annual Social and Economic Supplement. That's the ASEC. The Current Population Survey Annual Social and Economic Supplement is the source of the nation's official household income and poverty statistics. In 2012, the Census Bureau showed that the median household income was $33,800 for householders aged 65 and older. The poverty rate was 9.1%. So the median 50% above, 50% below. When we instead use an extensive array of administrative income records linked to the same CPS sample, we find that median household income was actually $44,000, which was 30% higher, and the poverty rate was 6.9%, which was about 30% lower. So median household income was 30% higher, poverty rate was 30% lower. Further, we show the discrepancy is mainly attributable to underreporting of retirement income from defined benefit pensions, i.e. your military, and retirement account withdrawals. We show that in recent years, most households do not experience substantial declines in total income upon retirement or any increases in poverty rates. Our results have important implications for assessing the relative value of different sources of income available to older Americans, including from the nation's largest retirement program, Social Security. So remember, they find the discrepancy is mainly attributable to underreporting of retirement income from your benefit plan, in particular military pension plans, and retirement account withdrawals. Because it did not say, did you take any distributions from an IRA? It didn't say that. All right, so let's go on. This is so important. I'm going to read you a lot. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read you a lot because it's incredibly important. All right, introduction. Are Americans adequately prepared for retirement? Using a variety of methods and assumptions, researchers have arrived at starkly different answers to this important question. Common to nearly all approaches is a reliance on household survey data to measure the economic resources available to older Americans. It has been long recognized that income aggregates derived from popular household surveys fall short of comparable administrative record totals. For older Americans in particular, analysts have raised concerns that survey-based income aggregates from employer-sponsored retirement plans and IRAs appear too small. Our starting point in the Census Bureau's Current Population Survey, which is the source of the nation's official income and poverty statistics. We focus on comparing 5 types of income available in both the CPS, Current Population Survey, and the administrative records. Earnings, Social Security benefits, supplemental security income, interest and dividends, and retirement income. By retirement income, we mean all amounts derived from pension plans, including survivor and disability payments, as well as all employer and IRA defined contribution distributions that permanently leave tax-preferred accounts. So anything that comes from a tax-preferred account is considered a distribution. That goes into the retirement income box. Unfortunately, the Census Bureau survey doesn't make that very clear at all, to the point you're like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say, so I guess I won't say anything. And we're underreporting it by 30%. Replacing survey income responses with administrative record values leads to several striking findings. First, relative to the 2012 number derived by the Current Population Survey alone, the median income for householders aged 65 and above is 30% higher in the linked sample. Second, the poverty rate for persons aged 65 and over is 2.1 percentage points lower in the linked sample, falling from 9 to 6.9%. Third, across most of the income distribution, we find that retirement income underreporting is mainly responsible for the overall income discrepancy, while self-reported earned income and Social Security benefits correspond well with the administrative records. Further, the underreporting of retirement income occurs mostly at the extensive margin. That is, people who actually receive retirement income failed to report any of it in the survey 46% of the time. In contrast, when reported retirement income amounts in the CPS, the Current Population Survey, match administrative records fairly well. So what they're saying is basically all other source of income, mostly Social Security, work income, is a huge match. 100 to 100 essentially. It's really about 96 to 100, but pretty doggone close. But when it comes to retirement replanning distributions, the underreporting of retirement income occurs at the extensive margin where the people actually receive retirement income failed to report it almost half the times. Isn't that crazy? Consistent with concerns raised in the literature, distributions from IRAs are rarely reported. Thus, all the income stuff they're saying, IRA distributions are rarely reported. So anything that does not include IRA distributions explicitly is just not worth the freaking papers written on. We find that there's a smaller but still substantial median income discrepancy of 20% in 1990, such that the survey shows median incomes grew only by 18% between 1990 and 2012. While the administrative records show growth of 29%. The administrative records could be IRS data, 1099 distributions, all this things of that nature, not just a survey of you. They're saying, look, let's look at the IRS data. Let's look at other sources of data as well, which we'll get into if you want to look at it. But the administrative data is a whole heck of a lot closer to than just surveying your buddy Josh and say, did you have any coming from a VA account? I'm like, or did you have any pension plan? But don't include your VA benefits. You're like, I guess not. So remember, we find there's a smaller but substantial median income discrepancy of 20% in that 1990, such that the CPS survey shows median incomes grew by only 18% between 1990 and 2012, while the administrative records show a growth of 29%. That's a 50% miss. They're missing it by half. Remarkably, the survey shows no evidence of any rise in retirement income receipt during this time, with an estimated rate of receipt of 40% in 1990 and 36% in 2012. In contrast, the administrative records show the same period the rate of receipt rises from 45 to 61%, which means more and more people are having distributions from retirement accounts, but they're not showing it in the census study, but they are showing it in administrative data from the IRS and whatnot. Meanwhile, poverty rates are lower in the administrative records in all years examined, although the trend in poverty rates is largely unaffected. Social Security is a smaller share of total income in large part due to the higher measures of retirement income. We also show that at the bottom of the distribution that surveys respondents frequently confuse Social Security and SSI, supplemental security income, not the same thing, and that SSI plays a larger role among the low-income age population than the survey suggests. In light of this, we reassess commonly cited statistics on the beneficiaries depending on Social Security income and the number of lifted out of poverty by Social Security. In particular, the share of beneficiaries that depend on Social Security for at least 90% of their income falls by half. And the number of people lifted out of poverty by Social Security falls by 1/3. So all these Bernie Sanders, well, look, I love Social Security. I'm 100% a right-wing libertarian who loves Social Security. I do. But all these guys say Social Security has lifted 90% of their income. That's simply not true. Or Social Security has kept people out of poverty is simply not true. It's what they're saying. Thus, we need to tax you more because it's done so good of a job on lifting people out of their income and because so many people rely on it for 90% of their income. It's just not true. Or Social Security has lifted people out of poverty. Just not true. Two completely different things. People are confusing supplemental security income, i.e. welfare, with Social Security income. They're not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. So people are attributing their lack of poverty to Social Security when they should, which is not a welfare benefit. It's your money when they should be literally attributing it to the welfare. That's what it should be because it is a welfare benefit. You didn't earn it. You're just it's an I don't want to say entitlement. You're not entitled to it, but it's a benefit granted by the whim of the taxpayer. The generous nature of the taxpayer. Social Security is your money. You got two completely separate things. You paid into Social Security. The income from Social Security should not be then used to report on welfare benefits to show that people are getting out of poverty because of Social Security. You can't do that, but they do. I get it. Lastly, we conduct a synthetic cohort analysis that compares incomes and poverty rates during an 11-year window surrounding the claiming of Social Security benefits. The survey measures show overall income drops that are twice as large as the administrative records, as well as substantially larger increases in the proportion of claimants living under 200 or 300% of the poverty level. So the survey, i.e. we're going to interview old Josh and see what he says, shows overall income drops that are twice as large as what the IRS data and other data sources, the administrative records, actually show. And that substantially larger increases in the population of people are living in poverty. Overall, when using the administrative records, we find income declines that are gradual and predate retirement, as well as no evidence of an increase in poverty rates. Further, income 5 years after claiming Social Security remains high relative to measures of career average earnings. We argue these results challenge the retirement consumption puzzle. The finding in the many household surveys that consumption, particularly food consumption, appears to decline sharply at retirement. This is considered a puzzle because it implies that many households are myopic, they're short-sighted is what that means, and fail to save adequately for retirement, which contradicts the predictions of the standard life cycle model. When using the administrative records, however, we do not find large abrupt declines in income or increases in poverty upon retirement. Thus, we argue that the premise of the puzzle is not correct. Retirement does not appear to be a fruitful setting to examine consumption responses to a large, predictable decline in income. It's insane. So basically, I'll never forget Jonathan Clements tackling Ty Bernanke when he wrote his article in the Journal for Financial Planning about reality retirement spending. Clements said, these people are spending less because they're running out of money. And I'm sure he was looking at something like the Census Current Population Survey, which shows people how to run out of money. But it's wrong. It's wrong. When using administrative records, we do not find large, abrupt declines in income or increases in poverty upon retirement. Now, don't be confused. Decline in income is not simultaneous with a decline in consumption. They're two completely different things. Just because your income stays flat doesn't mean your consumption is going to stay flat. So what I always talk about is consumption is what drives retirement, not your income, consumption. And so if your income's staying roughly the same, which I would argue it does, your consumption can still go down. I hope that makes sense. So consumption and income, two completely different things. Let's keep going down. All right, consumption may be a better proxy for long-run living standards if individuals can access savings to smooth out temporal fluctuations. A consumption-based poverty measure may also have practical value if survey respondents have special difficulty reporting different types of income. It's all based on consumption. That's the whole thing. It's not based on income when it comes to retirement planning. Screw the income stuff. It's all consumption. How much are you going to spend? How much do you need to spend? That has got to be the primary focus, the consumption side of it. The question is, once we get that, then we can look at the income side. But we're backwards in financial planning. We're looking at how much will 4% give you on your retirement? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter until we get the first part of the equation solved, the consumption. These studies suggest considerably more economic progress for the aged when using survey-based measures of consumption rather than income. Using linked data, our work provides an explanation for these disparate findings. Consumption-based measures may indeed be more accurate if retirement income is underreported. I feel like I got a mosquito flying around me here. I hate mosquitoes. Again, 100%. This is what your old buddy Josh was saying. Consumption-based measures may indeed be more accurate if retirement income is underreported, which it is. Other studies focus on measuring consumption at the onset of retirement. As mentioned in the standard life cycle model, predicts that households should want to avoid sharp drops in consumption in response to anticipated changes in income. Yet many prominent studies, such as a couple they're talking about, have found that consumption, including food consumption, does fall considerably at retirement, implying that households are myopic. Again, it just means they're short-sighted. So, with respect to food, though, expenditures need not be the same as consumption. There's a study that's showing retiring households have increased time spent on food preparation and time spent shopping for bargains and substitute away from spending on meals outside the home. The result is a declining food spending, but not in food consumption. Again, with respect to food, expenditures need not be the same as consumption. Just because you're spending less doesn't mean you are consuming less. I might grow more vegetables and gardens. I'm still consuming the same. I'm just not spending the same amount at the grocery. Households that do experience large consumption declines at retirement tend to be those that experience permanent health shocks, as shown in another study. This behavior would be standard with a standard life cycle model. What happens to incomes at the onset of retirement is less studied, however. And this is freaking nuts, man. In this paper and in our related work on retirement behavior, we do not find strong evidence of large abrupt declines in income at retirement. Similar, another guy found using a sample of tax filers that most households are able to maintain their income available for spending 3 years after retirement. Together, these papers call into question the premise of the retirement consumption puzzle, that there are predictable declines in income at retirement. Remember, income and consumption, completely different. Another issue is whether households can maintain their standard of living many years in retirement. One way to address this question is to examine the trajectory of wealth during retirement years. Someone found evidence that wealth declines more slowly than remaining life expectancy. Another guy attributed the slow decline of wealth to precautionary savings for rising out-of-pocket medical expenses. And finally, someone else demonstrated that wealth is remarkably persistent in retirement. Consistent with our findings, a slow decline in retirement wealth may be feasible if retirees, in fact, have higher incomes than previously thought. I probably should stop there, but I don't want to. Besides our own exploratory work and our examination of women's retirement in retirement, there have not been previous microdata studies that validate retirement income. Lastly, our work relates to the large literature examining survey measure error. However, besides our own work on this, there have not been previous microdata studies that validate retirement income. Survey methodologists have found indirect evidence, however, that asking about retirement account withdrawals immediately after asking about account balances improves survey retirement income, reporting the Survey of Consumer Finances and the Health and Retirement Study. Those are two different ones, the SCF and the HRS. That's the University of Michigan. Early work by a couple of researchers in the Survey of Consumer Finances and a comprehensive study by another guy using the Health and Retirement Survey data from the University of Michigan find that many participants are unaware of key plan features and often confuse defined benefit with defined contribution plans. Recent work using household surveys linked to earnings records revealed that self-reports of defined contribution participation are biased downward. It's perhaps not surprising that if survey participants have difficulty reporting retirement plan information during working years, they continue to have it after they retire. All right, we'll stop with this here. I want to show you a couple things. I got a lot in here, but I'm getting All right, so let's go into this, what we're talking about here. This will be the last one, and then I'll show you something from the Social Security Administration. There are many different perspectives on what should be counted as income. The classic model is defined as the maximum amount that can be consumed without lowering net worth. In this framework, income in retirement plans should be counted as it accrues. Most households do not do this, though. The current population survey was designed to collect money income, which is defined as income received on a regular basis, exclusive of certain money receipts such as capital gains, before payment for personal taxes, Social Security, union dues, Medicare deductions, etc. While traditional defined benefit/annuity income clearly satisfies the money income criteria and should be captured by the survey, the private sector transition to defined contribution system poses a conceptual challenge for the Census Bureau model. Retired individuals may not opt to take withdrawals from their defined contribution accounts on an as-needed rather than a regular basis. May opt to make withdrawals on an as-needed as opposed to a regular basis. So let me read that again. Retired individuals may opt to make withdrawals from their defined contribution accounts on an as-needed regular rather than a regular basis. And remember, the census model says it's got to be regular. These withdrawals could be considered saving rather than income. Issues such as the proper treatment of rollovers, moving money from one tax-preferred account to another, and lump sum distribution further complicates things. Yet another concern is that some withdrawals from retirement accounts reflect past employee contributions that would have already been counted as wage income. Prior to the redesign, the Census Bureau only sought to count payments from IRAs and other defined contribution plans when they were received regularly. I mean, I'm not going to take my stuff out regularly. I'm going to take it as needed. Other federal agencies rely on different income concepts. For example, the IRS excludes from income the contributions made to non-Roth defined contribution accounts, as well as the interest, dividends, and capital gains that accrue within those accounts. At the time money is withdrawn, it is included income and subject to taxation. That's how the IRS does it. At the time the money is withdrawn, it is included in income and subject to taxation. What if it's in a Roth, though? That's the problem with some of the other studies. In this paper, though, we count all gross distributions that permanently leave tax-deferred retirement plans as income, regardless of whether they are taxable in that year. This includes payments received from defined benefit plans as well as defined contribution and IRA withdrawals, both traditional and Roth. To avoid double counting, we exclude distributions such as direct rollovers and conversions, which simply move money across different tax-preferred accounts. Our definition is consistent with the goals of the Social Security Administration researchers who argue that household surveys, including the traditional Census Bureau, need to revise their measurements of retirement income to account for irregular distribution for retirement plans and IRAs. All right, so let's stop there. Just real quick, the primary purpose of the census study was to measure the monthly unemployment rate for civilian, non-institutionalized population. That's what it's there for, to measure the unemployment rate. It wasn't necessary to measure retirement income. So I just want to share with this last thing here. This is from the Social Security facts and figures from 2018. All right, and this is what I did a video going back to February. I said the Social Security missed a beat. Facts and figures about Social Security 2018. All right, so for all you using the Social Security data, well, you might want to rethink this because, well, I'll show you why. Your old buddy Josh is here to put the wet bag on your previous research. No, we are suspending population of the 5 charts that constitute the income of the aged population section for the 2018 edition, as we evaluate the adequacy of the chart's data sources. The annual social and economic supplement in the current population survey. So that's what we just talked about, CPS ASEC. Recent research suggests that there may be some issues with the measurement of certain sources of income reported in the Census Bureau study, the current population survey. We are dedicated to publishing the most accurate statistics, so we are conducting a thorough review of available sources for these publications, and we'll publish our findings upon this review. And for more information, see the article I just talked to you about. We are suspending publication of the 5 charts that constitute the income of the aged population section for the 2018 edition of the Facts and Figures as we evaluate the adequacy of the chart's data source. What more needs to be said? Any research prior to this that talks about income, you've got to assume is wrong. You have to. Or at least wrong in that it underreports income big time. Underreports pension income big time. Underreports the ability of Social Security to give the life preserver big time. It does. There's just no other way around that. So your retirement isn't going to be as bad as what you've been made to believe. It's just not. And I don't blame the Census Bureau. Hell, I mean, their whole point was going back to B and Mitchell here. The Census Bureau, the primary purpose is to measure the monthly unemployment rate for the civilian population. Between February and April, the CPS collects detailed information on amounts and sources of incomes received in the previous calendar year for approximately 75,000 households. That was their point, to measure the unemployment rate. Man, I love it. So if you want to read this article, I'll certainly put links in the show notes. I'll put links in the show notes for Social Security as well. Hallelujah, man. Hallelujah. It is great to be vindicated. I'm going to keep doing this all the time because once you start seeing how these puzzles work, you start saying, it's not that bad. And then you start saying, I wish somebody would write a book because if it's true that's not that bad, maybe I can actually retire on Social Security. A shameless plug for my book. And don't forget, Wade Fowle, my man, even talked about that in his Stanford research that they just published this year. that said you can retire on Social Security for a significant part of the middle and lower middle income retirees. If you need a Stanford researcher, of course, Wade is not a Stanford researcher, but he's aligned with them. The Society of Actuaries, your old buddy Josh is looking out for you. So, all right, subscribe, smash. Don't forget to hit the bell for notification and share. All right, we'll see you next time.